Good morning, second English students. We will continue this lesson where mirrors are windows. And see, this video is this lecture is the important lecture of this lesson, and so listen carefully. And by this week, I will complete this lesson. And whatever maybe tomorrow or Friday's lecture, everything is going to be extension of this lecture. Okay, so today's lecture. Okay, so whatever I say on Friday and Wednesday, I'm going to repeat today's lecture only. Okay, so therefore. If you summarize today's lecture alone, that is enough. Whatever the question could be, if you summarize this today's lecture, it is enough. Okay. So therefore, listen carefully and make notes carefully. Okay. So now, see. Carefully, I make note. Actually, there are two traditions in India. Okay, there are two traditions in India. One is great tradition, and another one is little tradition. Okay, so there are two traditions in India. One is great tradition, and another one is little tradition. So, tradition in India, in the sense, Indian literature can be divided into two. And that is great tradition and little tradition. Tradition here is Indian literature. Okay, so great tradition and little tradition. So what do you mean by great tradition? And see, predominantly it is literature, and we can say that the tradition includes literature. Predominantly it is literature. And lifestyle, culture, religion, everything is tradition. Okay, and this tradition is divided as great tradition and little tradition. And so, what do you mean by great tradition? Predominantly, it is Sanskrit language, Sanskrit culture. Okay, so it is the great tradition is Sanskrit language and Sanskrit culture. And this great tradition is followed by kings, leaders, and it has a proper written form. Great tradition has proper written form, and a great tradition is followed by kings and higher class people, rich people, and priests, religious people. Okay, so the great tradition is followed by kings, leaders, and religious people. And everything is in written form. This is said to be great tradition, and predominantly it is in Sanskrit language. Not predominantly, everything is in Sanskrit language. Great literature is everything is in Sanskrit language. It has written form. It has literary criticism, and it is followed by kings, leaders, religious people, and that is rich people and upper middle class people, and it has proper written form. Okay, and the language followed in great tradition is Sanskrit. Okay, so this is said to be great tradition. And little tradition, regional languages. Okay, all the regional languages, all the gods, regional languages, and the poor people and middle class people, and predominantly they are farmers, and they follow oral literature. Okay, so it is little tradition is regional language. Poor people, predominantly they are going to be farmers, and they follow oral literature. And it is not particular even religion, and they have their own gods, and they have their own culture, they have their own practice. And maximum they are poor people, and they follow maximum they have oral literature only. Okay, So they don't. I mean, they have written language, written literature, but predominantly they have oral literature. Okay, so this is said to be a little tradition. And see, Ramayana, Mahabharatam has both a great tradition and a little tradition. Okay, so Ramayana and Mahabharatam has both a great tradition and a little tradition. Okay, it is written by Sanskrit language, and see, in Sanskrit language itself, especially Mahabharatam has various versions. Okay, and Ramayana and Mahabharatam is nothing but Indian culture. Okay, rather than considering imaginary story or imaginary one or true one, and we shall leave those discussion. But obviously, both Ramayana and Mahabharata is Indian culture. The characters, the lifestyle, and how we have to live, and so predominantly Ramayana and Mahabharata is Indian culture. Okay, and a regular written form is there for Ramayana and Mahabharata in Sanskrit language. At the same time, in little literature also, we have extended version, various versions of Ramayana and Mahabharata in said by regional people, generation after generation. Okay, see, I do not know what are all the scenes are there in original version of Mahabharatam written by Vyasa. Okay, but there are lots and lots of parables, small stories based on Mahabharata. Okay, and we do not, I do not know clearly what is there in the original version, and each character is further extended in little tradition. Okay, see, Tagore also wrote, Rabindranath Tagore also wrote a character Chitra from Mahabharata. Okay, and Arjun marries Chitra. Chitra thinks that she is a male. But Arjun only says that it is you are really a female. And then there are love story, that is one thing. Whether that character is there in original version of Mahabharata, that I do not know. But little tradition developed this character and they do it. Okay, and Arjuna asked Krishna, who is great, whether it is Karnan or my own brother Yudhishthira. And Krishna says that it is Karnan. And then how he says, and Krishna takes a form of a beggar, and he asks help from Yudhishthira. And I want woods. And today the season is winter season, so I cannot give wood. And so Yudhishthira says that today is winter season, and as it is winter season, I cannot give wood for fire. And when same Krishna goes to Karna, and he asks arms, especially the wood, which is able to make fire, and Karnan breaks his own pillars made of wood. Okay, and he breaks his own room and take the wood and give it to Krishna. And now see, Yudhishthira says, I don't have it. Okay, but Karnan at any cost I should help him. So therefore Karnan is a better character. We do not know this story is there in the original version of Mahabharata or not. That we do not know. But these small characters, these small stories are made by little tradition. Okay, these small stories are extension of Mahabharatam, and they are created by a little tradition. Okay, and now okay, listen carefully. In case of textual productions, depending on intertextuality, the writer finds, author A.K. Ramanujam finds 3 different kinds of reflectivities. Okay, so based on just take down. In case of textual productions, depending on intertextuality, the writer finds 3 different kinds of reflectivities. Okay, just take down this line, and so the writer Ramanujam finds 3 different reflectivities. So let me tell you what is intertextuality. Okay, and write intertextuality and put a hyphen and write down the meaning of intertextuality. Intertextuality is relationship between 2 texts. Intertextuality is relationship between 2 texts. And reflectivities. Okay, REFLEXIVITIES. Reflexivities. So reflexivities is analysis of text. Analysis, value, relationship, so they are said to be reflectivities. Okay, so there are 3 kinds of reflectivities on depending on intertextuality. Okay, so India has lots of tradition. India is a huge literature. India has huge literature. So everything is interrelated. Everything has everything comes under one banner. Okay, that's what we learned in the previous video in yesterday's class, and so everything is interrelated, and based on this interrelation, this intertextuality, we have 3 kinds of reflectivities, 3 kinds of analysis. So first one is responsive. Okay, first one is responsive, second one is reflexive, third one is self-reflexive. Okay, first one is responsive, second one is reflexive, and third one is self-reflexive. So let me explain, first let me explain responsive. Okay, so what do you mean by responsive? In responsive, text A responds to text B in ways that define text A and text B. Okay, please take down carefully. Take responsive, text A responds to text B in ways that defines text A and text B. Okay, see, there is a text titled A. Okay, and this text A, this book A is a response to text B. Okay, there is already a text called B, and another text is written by another author, namely text A, and this text A is nothing but a response to text B. Okay, so in this way they are interrelated, and though they are interrelated, they stand alone. Okay, say for example, you have to write this example. Please take down the example, that is Ramayanam and Mahabharata. Okay, so Ramayanam and Mahabharata are interrelated. So already a text is written, Ramayanam, and Mahabharata is nothing but a response to Ramayana. Okay, so this is what are responsive. Okay, so definitely Ramayana and Mahabharata are interrelated. At the same time, they stand alone. Definitely they are, Ramayana and Mahabharata text A and text B are interrelated. At the same time, they stand alone. They say one thing, they say another thing. Ramayan say one particular message, Mahabharatam convey another particular message. At the same time, both are interrelated. It seems like they are different texts. They are interrelated. Okay. So now moving to next point, reflexive. Okay. So reflexive, where text A reflects on text B, relates itself to it directly or inversely. Okay. So reflexive, see, response is different from reflexive. Okay. Reflexive is analysis. I already told you reflexive is analysis. Okay. See, reflexive where text A reflects on text B, relates itself to it directly or inversely. Okay. So that is text A reflects or analyze text B. Okay. See, let's say a sequel. Okay, and even Mahabharatam is, we can say that Mahabharatam is a sequel to Ramayanam, but it is not a typical sequel, and let's say, the ancestors of Pandavas and Kauravas are nothing but they are the generations of King Bharata. Okay, so actually Bharatan's generation is the generation of Mahabharata. Okay, and actually after 500 years of Ramayanam, Mahabharatam incident took place. Okay, and it is there, this point is there in the original version of Mahabharatam itself. So the Santanu is a great grandson of Bharata. Okay, and Santanu's son is Bhishma, and Bhishma's nephew is going to be Dhritarashtra and Pandu, and Pandu's son is going to be Pandavas, and Dhritarashtra's sons are going to be Kauravas, and so the tradition they follow the tradition of Ramayana. Okay, so on this aspect we can say it is a sequel to Ramayanam, but it is not a typical sequel, but they analyze what is said in Ramayana. Okay, so in a way that both Ramayana and Mahabharatam are responsive as well as reflexive. Okay, that's how all the texts are interrelated. So one is responsive, another one is reflexive, and we shall take any sequel of any movies. So that is also a kind of reflexive. Okay, it analyzes the previous one, the previous story, and from that story only the story arrives. Okay, so that is also said to be reflexive. And let me give you another example for reflexive. Let's say during 90s, all over India, all the movies glorify stalking. Okay, and unfortunately, such kind of stalking movies are there even today in 21st century, and even today this stalking is glorified. And there is a hero, and he proposes the heroine, and compels the girl to love him, and finally the hero manages to get her love. Okay, and so the screenplay goes that the girl scolds the hero like anything. She slaps him, and in one particular scene, the hero saves the heroine from villains, and then immediately the heroine falls in love with the hero. Okay, so such scenes are glorified and such stalking are glorified, and in media and in social media, those movies are wrong movies. They convey wrong message. When a girl say no, no means no, and the boy should wholeheartedly accept the girl's rejection, and the boy is free to love another girl. And this is what this movie should be made, and all of us should glorify this message. Okay, but I do not know. Let's say Love Today is the first movie, though predominantly the screenplay is based on stalking, and then finally Vijay says stalking is wrong, and I don't love you. You go in your way, and let me go in my way, and sorry for my stalking. Likewise, Vijay says in the movie Love Today. Okay, and that movie is reflexive to other movie. Okay, so that message, stalking is a wrong message. Okay, and this stalking is a wrong message. This message is conveyed in the movie Love Today. Okay, so so this is example of reflexive, and what is said in Ramayanam and no in Mahabharata, Krishna says, you know, they are all wrong message, we cannot convey in the modern context. Likewise, Krishna also says. So Ramayana and Mahabharata is both responsive as well as reflexive. Okay, and then self-reflexive, where a text reflects on itself or its kinds. Okay, self-reflexive, where a text reflects on itself or itself or its kinds. Okay, self-reflexive, almost the author create their own way. Okay, I mean mentioned that self-reflexive is Tamil literature. Okay, self-reflexive, where a text reflects on itself, where a text reflects on itself or its kinds. Okay, self-reflexive hyphen, where a text reflects on itself or its kinds. So Tamil literature is predominantly self-reflexive. Okay, each and every poetry, each and every epic poetry stand alone. At the same time, they have something related. Okay, so unlike responsive and reflexive, you convey this message, and for that this text is made. And reflexive, you write a text, and by analyzing your text, I write another text. And self-reflexive, unknowingly we join together. Okay, see, I mean, let's take Nayagan or Badshah. Okay, and these movie, they are gangster movie, and they are commercially as well as critically. Of course, Badshah, when the movie was released, critically it was attacked. But today, Badshah is critically acclaimed movie. But Kamal's Nayagan is both critical acclaimed and commercially successful movie. Okay, and the story is completely different from Badshah. Both the heroes, both the story have some similarities. Okay, in both the movies, the hero are going to be a gangster. Okay, and though they are gangster, they help poor people. Okay, they use violence, they kill people just to help other people, and they kill the evil people. Okay, these are all the similar features between Nayagan and Badshah. But the story and screenplay and dialogues and acting performance, everything is completely different in both Nayagan as well as Badshah. Okay, and at the same time, they have some relation. They convey one message. Okay, we have to help people. Okay, the way how we help people, and that is what questioned. But ultimately, what the movie conveys that we have to help poor people. Okay, so in this way, this is example of self-reflective. Okay, so one poetry is written in one time, and he conveys one message to people, and another poetry is written in another page, and he conveys another message. Yet both the texts have both the texts are related. Okay, so this is said to be self-reflexive. Okay, so it defines itself, and though there is no proper interrelation between themselves. Okay, so though there is no proper relationship between two texts, yet they are related, and that is said to be self-reflexive. See, let me tell you again, please take down. Though they are not interrelated, though the themes and everything is completely different, at the same time they are related. So this is said to be self-reflexive. And so in consequence, so from a text another text is created. Okay, from a text another text is created. So the consequence of this is we get the first consequence, we get a core text. Second one is counter text. Third one is meta text. Okay, so first one is that we get a core text, that is a text is created from another text, that is core text. Okay, so in this movie they said this point. Okay, but they glorified suicide. Okay, in Punnage Mannan, suicide, committing suicide is glorified. If they fail in, if there is love failure, if your parents do not accept your love, and okay, go and commit suicide, and rather than living without the particular girl or boy, you simply commit suicide and die. So this message is glorified during beginning of 90s and even 80s movies. They are glorified. Okay. And so therefore many lovers also committed suicide and glorifying their love. But these days no lovers commit suicide because of love failures, and that is completely meaningless and foolish. Okay, so in 2000 they made movies. It is pointless to commit suicide if you have a love failure. Okay, so that movie glorifying suicide is one movie. Punnage Mannan is one movie, and Vasool Raja MBBS, the same actor Kamal, and he conveys the message in the movie called Vasool Raja MBBS. You foolish man, do not commit suicide for love failure. Okay, so this message is conveyed by the same actor who acted in the movie Punnage Mannan, and that character was ready to commit suicide for love failure, but the same actor conveys this message: it is foolish to commit suicide for love failure. Okay, so it is a kind of let's say it is a kind of response, but at the same time have nothing to do with this one. Author is not author is not conscious of the response of the relationship between the two texts. Okay, and definitely Kamal would have forgotten that yes, before 30 years I conveyed this message, but now in this movie I convey the exactly opposite message. and he is not conscious of it. Okay, when it is conscious, it is called responsive. When it is unconscious, it is to be self-reflexive. Okay, and second one is counter text, and the text completely opposes another text, and so the text completely opposes another text. So what you said is completely wrong. Okay, and I am completely against it. Okay, see, I mean, such kind of complete opposition is not that available in Tamil literature, but maybe in other literature, glorifying Sati. Okay, and actually Ramayanam glorified Sati. Okay, so when Ramayanam glorified women enslavement. Okay, and Krishna is completely against it. Okay, see, it is both Raman and Rama and Krishna are going to be same God. In that particular time, Rama glorified women enslavement, but here he glorified women empowerment, and women can marry 5 husbands. Okay, and she can disobey her husband. Okay, so such thing as message are conveyed in Mahabharata. Okay, at the same time there are some women in slavery in Mahabharata also. That is another topic. So I mean, there are 3 kinds of consequences of self-reflexive. That is, we get core text, and one text creates another text, and second one is counter text. One text is completely opposite to the previous text, and third one is meta text, that is literary criticism. Okay, so meta text is nothing but literary criticism. One text analyze, whether it is good or right, that doesn't matter. It simply analyzes. Okay, it simply analyzes the text. Okay, and so I already told you that Tamil is a self-reflexive literature. Predominantly, Tamil is a self-reflexive literature. See, the Lexis system itself is so beautiful that one word creates another word in Tamil language. Okay, in Tamil language, especially in Tamil language, this is an example. The language itself is a best example of self-reflexive one. One word creates another word. In a similar way, literature also, in Tamil literature also, one literature creates another one. See, Vandal, Varuvan, Vandan. See, let me take tenses. Okay, Vandan. Okay, Varugiran, Varuvan, Vandan, Varugiran, Varuvan. It is a single. You have to write the example. The Tamil words are transliterated and in the text itself by A.K. Ramanujan, and therefore you have to write. So it is a single word, but from the particular single word itself, we are able to write 6 words. We can write so many words from that single word, Vandan. Okay, and it conveys masculine gender or feminine gender, singular or plural, and past tense, present tense, and future tense. Everything is conveyed in the single word. Everything is single word. Okay, from the single word, we Tamil people can write more than 10 words. Okay, so most of the Indian languages are like that. From a single word, we will be able to create, coin many words. Okay, and so I mean, though the word Vandan is not there in the text, you can write my own example, Vandan. Varigiran, Varuvan, and feminine gender Vandal, Varigiral, Varuval, and Vandargal, and Vandan, singular and plural. So such thing is given. Okay. So for Ananya can write at least 3 examples. Vandan, V-A-N-T-H-A-N, Varigiran, V-A-K-U, Varu, V-A-R-U-K-U-R-A-N, Varigiran, and Varuvan, V-A-R-U-B-A-N. Okay. So at least Ananya can write 3 words, and both come, he came. Okay. So though it is a single word, I will be able to write many words from it. And so another point is that Tamil poetry is divided as Tamil Sangam literature is divided as interior and exterior. Okay, Tamil Sangam poetry is divided as two. One is interior and exterior. Okay, interior you write in brackets and as Agam, A-G-A-M, Agam, interior. Exterior, Puram, P-U-R-A. Tamil, Tamil students definitely you know that Tamil Sangam poetry is divided as Agananuru, Purananu, Agam, Puram. Okay, so that's what Ramanujam also says in this essay. The Tamil literature is divided as interior poetry and exterior poetry. Okay, and they are completely different. Interior poetry and exterior poetry are completely different. Okay, yet they are interrelated. Okay, when for today we live in home and we have to go out, that is exterior. When we go out, we have to face coronavirus and we have to fight with the coronavirus, and so that is exterior one. And interior, and I have family, I have wife and daughter, and so I have to love them, and this is interior. Okay, so see, each and every poetry is completely different. At the same time, the emotion, the ultimate emotion, the ultimate human life is going to be same, and that is what conveyed in the Tamil Sangam literature. Okay, see, many poetry are quoted by A.K. Ramanujam, and in one poetry, the main theme of the poetry is that a girl is waiting for her lover even in difficult situation. Okay, in such a difficult situation, the girl is waiting for her lover. Okay, and this is the example of Agam poetry, interior poetry, love. Okay, and in another poetry, it is exterior poetry, that is Puram, and a small boy sacrifices his life. Small boy participates in a war and sacrifices his life. Okay, even the beard, his beard is very tender beard. Definitely his age should have been 14-15 years. Even though in that age he boldly sacrificed his own life for his country. Okay, and that sacrifice is glorified. Okay, and see, when a boy is able to love a girl, and the boy is the male, the boy is able to sacrifice his life for the nation. Okay, so that's how, though the characters, one character in one poetry, he wants to meet his lover. Okay, in another poetry, he sacrifices his life for nation. Okay, and this is what this is how Tamilians lived, and they glorified love and they glorified war. Love and war, though the themes are completely different, but at the same time we need both in our life. Okay, so thus Tamil literature is predominantly a self-reflective one, and next class we will let me analyze. A.K. Ramanujam analyzed various poetry and but all the poetry says that either the Indian literature is responsive or reflexive or self-reflexive. Okay, and the same point is repeated, but in the A.K. Ramanujan explains the same point by quoting various poetry. Okay, so for that we will discuss tomorrow. As today we have 2 classes and you have to write a lot in today's for today's class. Okay, that's all. Thank you.